Hi, I'm Chris, and I'm green.
Hi, I'm Adam, and I'm not a knight.
And I don't podcast.
But what we did do this week is I finally watched The Green Knight, which I've been putting off for like 2 years.
Yeah, when you said that it's been a few years, I was like, no, it hasn't. I looked at the release date, I was like, oh,
2021.
God.
It's been like 2 years.
Yeah.
You see, we were gonna like watch this in theaters, but then I couldn't make it.
Yeah, because it was supposed to be for a different
thing. I don't remember what the different thing was.
Different podcast at the time, remember?
No, I don't, Chris.
Remember?
No, okay. I don't.
Okay, well, anyway.
Yeah, but we never like agreed on a time, so since that wasn't happening, I didn't watch the film even though I wanted to, and now 2 years later, we finally watched the film.
Yeah. I watched it before, but then I rewatched it for this. This is one of the times where I rewatch something instead of you rewatching something.
Yeah. Usually I'm the cultured one. And the smart one.
No, usually
and the pretty and cute
usually one. We're reviewing stuff that you want to review.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. I'm usually the one who gives suggestions.
I need him. I need him on this podcast, please.
First question. I'm pretty sure this is the case, but I need to confirm. This is the same director who did The Northman.
What was his name?
I don't know.
I'm gonna look it up.
It was a very similar style to The Northman.
Okay.
Visually.
Well, before I find that out, tea time. Explain tea.
Oh yeah. So something I've been. Okay, I've heard tales that with loose leaf tea you can re-steep it multiple times depending on if it's like a good quality or whatever. So we're trying it out. This is an oolong that we had prepared earlier and drunk a pot of, and now we're seeing if we can re-steep it and if it'll work or not.
Yeah.
It might not. I don't know.
You want to try it out, test it out, test the waters, test the literal
waters?
Sure.
While you look this up.
Yeah, I'm looking. I'm looking all right. No.
Good to know.
Yeah, he's directed Pete's Dragon.
Pete's Dragon?
Yeah,
like
the Disney movie. Saint Nick from 2009. The Old Man and the Gun from 2018. A Ghost Story, which that one I actually have heard of.
I have not heard of any of these, actually.
He directed The Green Knight.
That one I know.
Yeah.
Okay, but I mean, like, as a first introduction to this guy's work, I like this director. I think I'm not gonna say. Okay, despite what I may or may not think about the film, I like his style.
Okay.
I like that he's like super experimental and dark and moody and brooding and stuff. Mm-hmm. It's pretty cool. Some really clever visual ideas and stuff.
Yeah, that's very visually interesting, and I think that's one of the strong suits of this movie.
I'd say it's its strongest suit.
I don't know if I agree with that, because I like this movie a lot.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And just from what you've said so far, I don't think you did.
No, I did like the film.
Okay.
I just don't know if I liked it a lot.
Okay.
Okay, hear me out, right? This is a very smart big brain movie, and I'm a little dumb boy.
Sure.
So I feel like I did not get nearly as much of this movie out of it as it wants me to get out of it, because it is very like intellectual,
very dense.
Like this is a fucking like film major academic fucking like write a thesis on this movie for all of its symbolism and stuff. Movie, and I did not understand. I feel the plot is not super dense, I'll say, but I feel like I missed out on the entire point of the film because I could not recognize what the symbolism was trying to say.
That's fair. I think for me it was a lot easier because I was going to go into this rewatch just kind of breezing by, and then as I was like taking notes, I was like, oh, I didn't notice this on the first time because I put subtitles on. I'm pausing it and like actually like writing things down compared to when I watched it in theaters where I was just like, yeah, this is I really like this movie, but actually diving in and actually taking like a little bit more of a look and knowing stuff that happens later in the movie, I think that because I really like. I think the symbolism is very interesting and cool. Like there's only like one scene where I think they explicitly state something, and I think that's it.
I wish there were like
More
10
of
times
that.
so that maybe I could follow along with it.
Yeah, but it also helps because I don't know if you did this, but I read the story in high school.
I also read the story in high school.
Yeah, so I know when I first watched this movie, I was like trying to think back on the story and like where like the things that I learned from that class. To see what connects.
Okay, so correct me on this, but I'm pretty sure that. And I'm not sure if this is actually true because American high school, but I was taught that the whole point of Sir Gawain and the Green Knight, as a story from the 1300s or whatever, is to remind. Like it's supposed to be a lesson for the young peasant children that every year they have to hack off a part of this particular plant for it to keep growing, and that's the whole point of the knight with beheading the knight and having it grow back.
I don't know. I don't. I didn't. That I don't remember that from my high school teaching. I mean, because like obviously, like the thing with like Arthurian legends and stuff like that. A lot of it's very interpretive, like and obviously of the times and stuff. Yeah. So I don't know specifically
like how currently the interpretation of the Arthurian legends is saber
based though. Fate.
I haven't tasted the tea yet. Hold on, let me.
Also, you do that. I forgot to get my notebook because I took a lot of notes.
It kind of works. It kind of works.
That sounds like it works.
I mean, the longer I leave it in there, the stronger it will get.
Entertain the pot.
Ba-boom, ba-boom. Ba-bo-ko-ko-ko-ko-ko-po-po-po-po. Ante ist ombre escoltis fenta.
Let's give me a soundbite.
Beep, 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 beep.
Oh no. I'm back, baby. Alright, so I took 1, 2, 3, 4, 4.5 pages of notes. Double-sided, I mean. So, I guess 9 pages of notes of writing for the Green Knight. Numbers. But yeah, like, it's a very dense movie. That I think, I don't know. I rated it pretty high when I first watched it, but I think I enjoyed it more rewatching it. For me.
I enjoyed watching this film.
That's a plus. That's good. Not all movies.
I do not understand it. Okay. I am not prepared to say that I understand it, but I enjoyed watching it.
Well, like when we talk about it, like we can get through some of the stuff.
Well, okay. Well, first let's finish up our non-spoiler thoughts because everything interesting about this is going to be in the spoilers.
Everything.
Yeah. It's worth a watch.
Yeah, I think that for some people, I think it can be pretty slow, and it's not like it's. And it can feel disjointed at parts, but I think the overall message of this movie and the themes of it are pretty good. Like this is kind of non-spoiler, but it's about like knighthood,
chivalry and it's a coming of age story.
Yeah. I think of this I think I wrote down. It's the archetypal hero's journey. Like I think that the
big circle,
the
12-step program.
I'll put it on screen right here, but it takes that premise and kind of just runs with it, and I think it does it very well. I think Dave Patel is very good, slightly better than his Zuko role.
Who's Dave Patel?
He's an actor. He's the actor in this one. He's
the main guy.
He's Gawain. Garwin, however you say it.
Garwin.
It's spelled Gawain, but it's pronounced.
They pronounce it a couple different ways. Because the Garwin. King pronounces it Gerwin, then people call him Gawain or Gawain. I don't know. Whatever. It's Middle English. Who cares?
Yeah. But yeah, I really like this movie. I think that if you're going into it just to be kind of like entertained, like not entertained, but like just to have like a fun time, I don't know if this is the movie for you, because it's pretty slow. It's very much thematic and symbolic. Like all the scenes are kind of like moving towards these things.
Yeah,
like,
I think that if you're trying to get into more experimental and like if you're trying to travel outside of the mainstream film industry, this is not a bad place to start.
I'd agree.
Just keep in mind, you're probably going to end up like me and not know what the fuck is going on. But it is still pretty cool, though.
Yeah, I think visually it's very stunning.
Like, even if you don't understand it, you can still tell that what's going on is pretty fucking cool.
I really like this movie. The premise of it, just like...
Okay, you know what? This works, actually.
Oh, it's getting better.
You just need to let it steep for longer, and it's pretty good.
That's pretty good. I'll try some in a second.
Yeah, let me take the thing out of it.
Okay, can you pour some into my teacup?
Of course I can.
Thank you, you're so sweet.
I'm your co-host.
Also my friend.
I'm your co-host.
Also... Oh, okay. That looks less like water. That's good. Okay, so this movie, The Green Knight, Gawain and the Green Knight. Well, it's just called The Green Knight, but the premise of this movie. Should we just talk about the bare bones of it, or like just?
Okay, yeah. A quick outline of the plot, I guess.
Yeah.
Mr. Gerwin.
Mr. Gawain is
a bit of a scoundrel.
Yeah, he's the nephew to King Arthur.
Or do they call him King Arthur?
I don't think they explicitly state his name.
Okay.
But I'm pretty sure.
Because I thought they were just going for, it's just a king. I mean, they have the round table, but it's not...
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Well, okay, in the story, in the book, he is... I think he's the nephew of King Arthur. Also, though, I don't know about this in the stories, but in this movie, that means that he's the son of Morgan Le Fay, who is a witch. Which she is a witch. So,
that's why they made her a witch in the movie.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, she is the sister of King Arthur, I think.
How do you know all these facts about Arthurian legends, Chris?
I watched the BBC show Merlin.
And no other reason why you know all this?
That should be enough. But yes, I'm also into Fate. Fuck you, Adam. I'm sorry things that I like go back to Fate. Sue me. You happy now?
Your Honor, I think the defendant speaks for himself. And that his testimony should prove enough to indict him.
That's what you sound like. Anyway, yeah, so this Christmas, and this Green Knight shows up into King Arthur's round table.
But he's like really scary. He's like made of wood or some shit.
And he says, I want to play a game. And so he offers that someone can come up to him and do something to him, basically, and he will inflict the same thing to them
1 year hence.
Gawain takes up the mantle.
Well, hold on.
Okay.
This is probably important for the symbolism, but I don't actually
we'll get into the weeds of it.
Yeah, okay. But in exchange for whatever knight plays the game, the knight will get to keep the big green axe that the knight's carrying.
Yeah, and yes, there's also that. And... fame and glory and money and stuff. That's what he states that, but it's kind of like, Anyway, and so Gawain takes up the offer. He's like, all right, it's time for battle. And then he puts down his axe and he opens up his neck.
And then Mr. Gawain's like, are you sure? Are you sure about this? Okay, I mean, I guess I'm taking a swing. All right, here I go.
Yeah. And so then he cuts off his head. And then the Green Knight picks up his head that is just cut off, and it's like 1 year's time, and then leaves. And then the whole movie is basically the quest to go find this Green Knight and to accept the end of the game, which would be cutting off his head because he cut off the Green Knight's head.
Yes.
And that is the premise of this movie.
Yeah. The journey itself is
yes.
plus a lot of symbolism.
Yeah, quite a bit of symbolism. So, do you want to talk about anything in particular before we get into the bit by bit? Because like the questions that you have, like I want to try to like answer them, but I don't know if you want to.
I mean, it's one really big question.
Sure.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Okay, well, one more plot point. But just before soon-to-be Sir Gawain sets out on his journey, his mother gives him an enchanted like sash to put around him that will prevent him from attaining injury or whatever. Mm-hmm. It's important later.
That is important later.
Yeah.
A lot of things I think in this movie are pretty important to the grander premise of him meeting the Green Knight. Like I mean, obviously, but okay, we can go bit by bit. So Gawain wakes up. Well, actually, before that. Okay. So we start off with a voiceover talking about talking about King Arthur essentially, and saying, "Oh, like we're talking like this noble, honorable king and stuff, but this is not his story. Like it's this guy's story. It's Gawain, and he's holding the scepter and the ball, the incense.
Oh, like this is like at the very beginning.
Very
okay, yeah. He's holding whatever the royal regalia are when they when they
crown
the medieval, when they crown you.
And then his face turns on fire.
Yeah, it's very cool visual.
Yeah. I don't know if that's a symbol for him being hot-headed and cutting off the Green Knight's head.
I mean, there's a lot of head symbol, like visual motifs, like the head separated from the body in some kind of capacity. In this case, it's the head being on fire and nothing else.
Yeah. So it starts off with the tale being told, and then it starts off looking at a little barn. And it shows like you hear people screaming. You see a roof on fire, and then you see this couple come out and leave on this horse.
That's right, yeah.
And that they are completely separate, and Gawain just wakes up in a brothel.
It's never brought up again.
Yes, which I like that because it shows how disconnected he is from like reality, which is like
that's the point of that scene.
That's what I think it is. Yeah.
Okay.
Because it shows
that makes sense. Yeah.
Because all these people like going through a lot of stuff and like this tragedy and just a lot of chaos and stuff, and he's just having sex in a brothel and he's just waking up there on where he said he was going to be at mass. He told his mom. So he's so like like I said, so he's so disconnected from what's actually going on in the world that he's just like, oh yeah, I could just do these things and I am this a great guy. And he starts out saying that he isn't a knight yet. And he talks to this woman named Essel, which is a worker at the brothel. And they're basically...
This is the bell girl.
Yes, the bell girl.
This is the bell girl, all right.
She is the same actress as the woman at the end of the movie. Not the wife, the other girl. Not his wife. The wife to the man. In the house.
The queen.
No.
In the what house?
Remember when he goes to the house before the hunter?
Okay.
The hunter's wife is the same actress.
Okay, that brings up more questions.
Yeah.
Questions that need answering.
Okay. We'll get to that.
We'll get to that.
But yeah, so Essel's his lover and he pays her, obviously, but we'll get into the change in dynamics and what's going on. And then it starts off with saying this is a chivalric romance. That's what this is. Or adaptation. I don't know if they actually say adaptation, but I put that there. I don't know if they say that. Anyway, let's see. We find out that Morgan or Morgana is Gawain's mom because she's a witch. Well, they don't explicitly say that's her name, but King Arthur legend. This is the sister to Arthur, and she's a witch. It's probably Morgan Le Fay.
Probably yes.
So it's Christmas. He sits near the round table, and King Arthur asks him to join him next to him because Arthur's son, who I'm not sure which person... I thought it was Mordred,
Yeah, but you see, Mordred died in the Fifth Holy Grail War, so I don't know how this fits into all that.
No. Fuck you, dude. It's wrong, first off. Okay.
I don't remember much from Apocrypha, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's the Great Holy Grail War, which would...
Is it not just called the Fifth?
It's a different timeline. What? We're not talking about fate. We don't have to talk about fate. But I thought it was Mordred, but then I was like, that's kind of weird. I don't know if that would be. So anyway, Gawain sits next to Arthur, and Arthur talks about how he never really got close to his family, and even though he values it, and how he wishes that he asked about him, and so he's like, oh, like tell me a tale that explains who you are. And
he's like, I haven't any tales.
Yeah, he's like,
I'm boring.
Yeah, he doesn't feel like his life has amounted to really anything, which I don't think Arthur necessarily agrees with. But then Guinevere says like you don't have any tales yet, so now you can have adventures. Like there's always the possibility of doing something great, right? And then as Arthur starts doing a speech for Christmas, it cuts back and forth between his sister Morgan casting a spell, and I really like the cuts between them, like walking with each other and doing those things. I think was Arthur. He talks about like being grateful for the people around him and knowing all these great knights and stuff, and then we don't know what Morgan's saying because she's chanting in Latin. I don't know.
No, okay, so there's a later scene in the film where they do the same thing where it's like Morgan juxtaposed with church, like a priest blessing some holy water, and the priest is speaking in Latin where she's speaking in something else.
Oh, okay.
Probably like old Anglo-Saxon or something.
Eldritch. She's speaking Eldritch.
Dwarvish.
Elvish,
yeah.
I'm getting hungry.
She's speaking Undercommon.
She's Undercommon.
Yeah. Thieves can't.
Thieves
Winks
can't.
at the D&D nerds in the audience.
You see Merlin for a split second?
We did?
Yeah, he's the guy with the tattoos under his eyes.
Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. That's why they made him look like Rasputin.
Yes.
This is making more sense.
Okay, and then the Green Knight appears as they're talking, and then Morgana she burns this letter, and that letter is the letter that the Green Knight gives to Guinevere to read, and then Guinevere's possessed and starts speaking in
Undercommon,
in a deep voice, and in
Celestial, yeah,
and talking about how he wants a game to be played, and how he explained it before, whatever he does, whatever happens to him, he will give back, and that's a big theme, right, of the movie. Like whatever you give, it's like whatever you give, you take. Whatever you take, you give. Right? It's like a back and forth of like receiving and giving throughout the entire movie.
You reap what you sow.
Yeah, like because it comes back to Christmas about giving, like gift giving, like the idea of what Christmas is about, like in the current times. And then I think that the idea of Christmas is a celebration. So this Green Knight came to play a game. And so, like, because when you're having Christmas, right, and you're like, oh, I want to play a game on Christmas, right? Your thought is, oh, okay, we'll play cards or Monopoly or something.
Or beer
right?
pong.
Beer pong. Something, right? Something that you're enjoying your time with others, right? And Gawain interprets this because he wants to be a knight. He's like, oh, this is a
challenge.
This is a challenge. Duel. Yeah. And so he takes that idea and it's warped in a way that fits his idea of being a knight, right? Because even King Arthur, he's like if you're excited this is just a game. He states this.
Remember, it's just a game.
And Gawain, like the Green Knight offers himself. He's like, oh, here's my neck and stuff, and Gawain chops off his head, and then everyone cheers except for I think Guinevere and Arthur, where Guinevere was like kind of like standing up, like, what are you doing? And Arthur's just, well, you're doing it, and everyone else is like, yeah, you're a knight. You're so cool. I don't think he says you're a knight, but like your tail, like all the people around are just kind of like excited because like, oh, this is like
You killed a guy, but you didn't kill him. That's fucking cool,
well, yeah,
man.
like, oh, you beheaded this horrific person, right? Like that's kind of how it looks.
You killed the tree man.
But yeah, like I think that this game, I really think sets the tone of like, all right, well, what is this going to be about? Like it shows Gawain very scared, right? And it shows this knight, this Green Knight, not showing any fear and just like offering him to like hurt him in some capacity,
yes.
Which comes back towards the end, obviously. It talks about what giving and receiving and what you interpret that as, because Gawain in the movie takes a lot. Like he like throughout the thing, like everyone he meets, he likes to take things from them without any like reciprocation towards like giving in a just or kind way. Like he's just like, oh, what's something that I could take that would benefit me? Like even this, he takes his head. He takes like the honor and glory from doing this deed, and he doesn't. There's nothing that Gawain really gives, except like towards the end, where he which we'll get there. Which I really like this stuff. Like I think it's very interesting, and
it is pretty interesting if you pick up on it when you're watching the movie. But it's
I mean,
fine.
even looking back on it, like I think that it's like, oh, like it turns these scenes into a different context, right? Where you're like, oh, okay, this is why they were doing this stuff. And like I said, one of the things that'll really show is the honor in accepting your actions, because Gawain doesn't really accept things that are happening that he does. He's just kind of like, oh yeah, I'm doing them, but I don't I don't care. Which comes back to bite him a few times. Give me a second. I'm my stomach's growling. I need a drink. Any thoughts at the moment? Interjector.
Gawain takes. You see, okay. The main thing, or the one most important line in the film that I'm trying to figure out is the very last line of dialogue where Gawain finally accepts everything and offers his head to the Green Knight, and then the Green Knight says, "Now then, off with your head," and then we don't actually see if he actually gets beheaded or not.
Yes.
So I'm trying to figure out why he said that. What does it mean? What is
we'll get to that because I did write this down, and I
he figured it out, guys.
I don't know about that, but
now off with your head. Now off with your head.
Off to bed.
Off to bed. Now off
to
the meds.
Off your meds. So then it shows basically a year passes, too quick of a year. So Gawain's just enjoying the tales of himself. There's
a puppet show with no dialogue,
which I really like. I like the passage of time and that it shows the after of what's going to happen. That Gawain hasn't, because I thought I originally think it's the tale of Gawain before he goes on his quest of what's going to happen. But I mean, it could be a tale of what has already occurred, and this is actually past the end of the movie, which is possible. That's a view of it.
Oh, the puppet show could be after the events.
Yes,
okay,
because it shows Gawain had been cut off by the Green Knight also.
Yes.
Let's see. He slew the knight, yet walked away. Cool. Okay, so then Arthur comes. Like Gawain's kind of like freaking out a little bit because he's like, "Oh, the days are coming. The Christmas is coming up." And then some guy in the bar insults his mom. He's like, "Your mom's a witch," and he beats him up. Defending honor, right? The idea of being honorable and stuff.
I guess.
And then he sees Arthur talking to his mom, to Morgana, and Arthur ends up talking to him about like what they're gonna do. Because he's like, "Oh, you've taken up the challenge. You've taken up this game. You've taken up this quest. Like you should follow through on this, right?" And Gawain's like, "Okay," very reluctantly. He's like, "Okay, I should go. This is the idea of what to be a knight, right?"
The journey begins.
Yeah, and the journey begins.
And the movie actually starts.
Yeah. And before this really starts, so you get to the blessing part where you were saying, right? With the priests and stuff.
Yeah.
There's a fives motif where they talk about the five, like blessing the five fingers, blessing your five senses, the five joys of Mary or something. I don't know if that's joys, but and then they say the five virtues of a knight. I don't know them.
That's only 4.
I think something else they probably said.
The 5 humors.
I don't know what they said because I only wrote down stuff that I was kind of slow in it.
Oh.
But all of them were saying that each of those has 5.
The $5 in my bank account.
Yes, the $5 in our bank account. I don't really know any of the specific of any of those things besides like the senses of fingers. So that's something that probably is over my head, but it's probably cool. I don't know.
Bless the fives.
Bless the fives. It's recording, right? It's not moving.
Oh yeah, it's just off what I can see. Look,
okay.
It's going.
Okay. And Essel, Gawain's lover, talks to him about which something that it reminds me of a line from Arcane, which he said. She asks Gawain, "Why greatness? Is goodness not enough?" With the idea of these people that are trying to aim for this grandiose title, honor, privilege, or whatever, and they miss the small actions that make someone an actual good person, and that itself is greatness. Which throughout the movie up until towards the end, he does not do a lot of good deeds.
Okay, I'm seeing what you're saying.
Yeah,
like every problem that he has on his journey is because he doesn't do the small things that would make him a good person.
Yeah, that would be good and helpful to others, right? Like all the repercussions are kind of just because he's like, I'm just gonna do whatever I feel is right, and whatever he feels isn't right. I mean, in the context of the movie. So Gawain ends up his mom gives him a sash that says, "Oh, you'll be protected."
It's green.
Yeah, it's green. And he's given a bell by Essel.
Yes. Wears it like a necklace.
Yes, like a jingle bell, some would say.
Yes. He mounts his horse. He wraps himself in a very visible yellow cape and sets off. And
I originally, because I talked to Bean, our friend, and when we first saw this movie, and we were saying that there's a lot of long lingering shots that didn't necessarily need to be there, and at the time I agreed, and I thought this was one of those shots, but then I thought about it more, and I actually really like it being a long shot, like a longer take, and the reason is because the idea of a hero setting off on their journey. It's supposed to be this grandiose type of adventure, right?
And we skip the 12 hours of walking to day one.
And the very scene is him walking away from these children, and then you see just a shepherd walk with his sheep, and just slowly walking, and he's just going. It's boring, it's mundane, and that's the point. In my opinion, where this like I said in the beginning, Gawain's so disconnected from stuff. He thinks that this thing will be so cool and it'll help him become a knight and gain honor and stuff, and it's why this doesn't mean anything. These little things don't necessarily, or these parts of this journey, they're gonna be small and insignificant and boring and there's a scene by himself where he's just eating by himself and he's lonely. There's a lot to it that he doesn't think about when he has the idea of this greatness in his head.
Yeah, well, here's the thing, though, right?
Mm-hmm.
The point of the shot is that it's boring and insignificant.
Yes.
However, you did still make a boring and insignificant shot.
I guess. I mean,
it's good for the artistic subtext here. But as a film, you're deliberately failing to entertain.
I disagree, because if you're trying, say you're trying to make a character that you're supposed to dislike, if you're I'm not enjoying this character, and even though that's the point of the character, I don't think that that's a failure in entertaining the.
No, it is.
I disagree.
It is 100% a failure because. Okay, actually, you know what? Let's go about this a different way. What's an example of a character that you're supposed to dislike? It's like typically the antagonist, a villain character,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
You can still like root against the antagonist while having them still be an entertaining character. Like, for example, Scar from The Lion King. He's a piece of shit, but he also has some good musical numbers. Mm-hmm. And the way that he talks with the Jeremy Irons voice, like, it's really cool, man. Yeah. It's entertaining.
Yes. They wanted him to be charismatic in some capacity.
Yes.
That's not every villain. I think that the idea that every instance of a piece of fiction or piece of media I think that as long as it's serving its purpose, I think that is a job well done, because like I said, those things are supposed to enhance the larger idea of why this thing is being done in the first place. You don't necessarily.
So you think that the statement is more important than the. I'll be generous. The statement of the art is more important than the entertainment value of the art.
I think that like the entertainment of this movie is to understand the themes and the ideas of it, and if something that in the moment can seem boring and fails and on an individual basis, I think helps enhance it in a grander scale.
So you like that it's boring?
I liked that scene because it helps enhance the overall movie for me. Although that scene may seem like a failure of entertainment. Okay.
I'm going to completely contradict myself right now.
Okay.
Because I did not think the scene was boring.
Okay. All this to say, it's a good shot.
It's pretty good. Yeah. But okay, here's for me.
Yes.
When I was looking at that long shot where like the kids are running at them, and then it takes a little while, and then they just go off again, and then the shepherd comes by, I'm thinking, oh shit, what? Why is this shot here? This is an artiste's film. Every moment of this is intentional, and we're supposed to think about it. So what is he saying? I'm sitting there trying to figure it out. The children are following him, then they leave, but there's that one kid who keeps staring at him. It's like, okay, that one kid was carrying a stick and pretending it was a sword. So is the film saying that the young idealistic idea of a knight is the last thing that is going to leave Sir Gawain? Is it something completely different?
Yeah.
And I just didn't. Oh, okay.
No. I'm like, yeah, go on.
Oh, all right. Okay, cool. Then the shepherd comes by, and there's the sheep. The sheep is commonly a symbol for like, oh, it's just everyone doing the same thing, and it's being led by the shepherd. Who's the shepherd in this? It's probably symbolic for something. I just don't know what it is, and I'm sitting there trying to figure it out. And the shot itself is like really nicely color graded, and it just.
I like the background.
Yeah, the background is really cool. It's just a nice shot.
Yeah. So you just want to argue with me?
Yes, that's the whole point of the podcast, Chris.
We can discuss things we like together.
All right, you ready?
Sure.
It was pretty good.
Okay.
But. We're not even halfway through, Chris. We got to keep going, dude.
Well, honestly,
I'm so exhausted from that extremely lengthy argument.
Yeah, where we physically hit each other.
Look, see his black eye? It's not because he punched me. It's because I fell over.
Okay. I hit a doorway.
I fell on the doorknob. It was on purpose. It was a joke. It was funny.
Yeah, but yeah, there is one parts where I'm a little bit confused. Maybe you can explain it to me.
Oh, you mean the whole movie?
No.
Okay.
I mean, I get this scene. Okay, we talked about this one scene we made
literally hours.
We made it long, just like the director made the scene long.
Oh my god, dude!
It all comes back.
Wow. Life imitates art.
After the long ride scene, he has a flashback to Essel saying that she wants to,
Why wouldn't you make me your lady?
Yeah, he has a commitment issue, which comes back later, like, because he has a commitment with.
Dude, he has a commitment issue, which is manifested symbolically manifested in the film by having a whole bunch of alternate timelines.
I was thinking more that like he can't commit to this journey and following through on what he states and what he sets out, just like his wife, just like the quest of meeting the Green Knight, which I thought is pretty cool. It's a running theme for him. Then he gets to a quite literal, like, crossroad.
Oh yeah, and he goes the wrong way.
I put he's lost. He pretty straightforward, just like in his life.
Lost in his life, just like on the road.
Yeah,
but he said he was going north, and then I presumed that when he left the castle, that road he was on was heading north, and then he just turned right, which means he's now heading east. So I think he went the wrong way.
I thought even if he did, he doesn't seem like he knows what he's doing. I don't remember where we left off.
I don't either.
Let's see.
Sir Gerwin.
Gurry. So after he gets on his little detour, or I don't know if it's a detour, but he got lost a little bit. He sees a dead. You go first.
I think yours happened first. Because he sees a corpse in the woods.
Yes, he does.
Okay, that was first.
Yes.
You were right. I was wrong.
And then he keeps going, and he meets this young man.
On an old battlefield.
Yeah, where a bunch of corpses are. Which he says, he's like, oh, why aren't all these people buried? Like why? Like, which I thought was funny because he's like, oh, where's the honor? Like, these guys aren't honored in any way. As he walks over the bodies.
Oh yeah,
and I was like,
he's on his horse, and the guy who's there is like just on feet.
Yeah, but like I just thought it was funny because like he's not aware, like, oh, he's not respecting them either. Like he's like, why aren't these bodies being respected? As he just walks over them, he just passes by them, which is like, he has very little self-awareness with what goes on in this movie. The scavenger talks about like where the Green Chapel is, and he offers him some information, and then Gawain's like, thank you, and then tries to leave. and the scavenger's like,
does my advice mean nothing to you?
He's like, I gave you thanks, like, which is one of the early indications that he just like the idea of giving and receiving is kind of just moot to him, like it's a moot point because he doesn't care.
Sure. I mean, I wouldn't give him money for that advice. It was pretty shit advice.
Yeah, but like, but I think the idea of just like trying to offer like something in return, right? And Gawain's like, obviously this isn't the only instance, but then later, the scavenger and his buddies rob him because he's like, hey, you weren't really nice to me. And so they rob him. and they take off his sash.
And Sir Gawain dies.
Yep. Or I put Gawain died? And they went,
or did he?
Yeah, he didn't die. But he could see himself dying and being there forever.
Well, one specific thing. So when Gawain is hog-tied up and starves to death, it's portrayed to us, the audience, by a sweeping, rotating camera move.
Yes.
It shows his skeleton, and then it rotates back, and we see him alive again.
Yes.
A shot that we see repeated once later.
I don't know what scene you're talking about, but
we'll get to it.
Ooh, we'll get to it.
Do I remember what scene I'm talking about? It happened twice, I swear. I noticed it.
And I put, as he's trying to escape, this is the first time I've seen someone, when they're tied up and escaping, that they actually cut themselves on accident, which I thought was neat, because he was just like, uh-oh.
I can't see what I'm doing. Oh no, my hand.
Yeah, compared to in RRR where the guy just grabs a snake blindly. It's just like, yeah. But yeah, this is an RRR, unfortunately.
Unfortunately, no, it is not RRR.
I put then he escapes with
Nothing but a sword.
And his nothing but a sword, right?
A sword. Yeah, he finds the axe later. It's just a sword.
So he finds a cabin in the woods, and then he's just like, "I'm asleep."
Finally, a bed. Oh my god. Oh.
And then he sleeps there, and I was like, "Wow!" Like how Knightley just breaking someone's house and sleeping in their bed.
Okay, to be fair though, we're kind of portraying that like Sir Gawain is an asshole when in the film is not trying to convince us that he's an asshole. Like there are reasons.
No, yeah, there are. I think it's just the idea that he doesn't. In a lot of the things that he's doing, he doesn't think that far ahead when it comes to like the stuff like when in the game where they said, "Oh, this thing will happen to you," and he cuts off someone's head. He didn't think, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna have my head cut off." like he doesn't think about them. Like it's not necessarily that every action is like this terrible thing.
Okay, here's the thing though, right? Mm-hmm. I would say that it's not that he doesn't think ahead.
Okay.
I think he's just a normal dude. I think that the world has a problem with Gawain because he's not a super chivalric knight. Instead, he's just a normal guy. Like, in the game, he cuts off the knight's head because that's, like, what is presented to him by the knight and by the game. That, like, cutting off his head is what he is made to think he's supposed to do. So he does it. And the thing about the game is that what does it matter about... Well, if this blow is given to me by the knight, he can't. The knight can't give me the blow once he's dead. So I guess I'll just kill him. But then it's a big surprise because the knight's not actually dead, and he had this fucking whatever.
Magic.
Yeah, magic, fairy tale, superstition, paganism.
A lot of religion stuff in this.
Yeah, a lot of religious stuff. And then on the old battlefield when he's talking to the guy. Like, in real life,
yes.
If someone asks me for directions, like, "Oh, hey, where's the library building on this college campus?" I'm like, "Oh, you just turn left at the food court."
Yes.
I giving the directions would not be expecting them to compensate me financially for just pointing them in the right direction.
I think that's fair, but up until that point, he's talking to this kid. It's a guy who said he's like had a rough time, who's out in the middle of a battlefield, like is not. You should have like offered to be like, is there some way I can help you? Maybe, especially that he's the idea of like this is what I mean, this honorable person, like that. The ideas didn't come up at all. Is the problem?
I agree. Again, the point is that the world hates him because he's not a chivalric knight. He's just a normal dude.
Well, I think
keep in mind, the conversation he had with the guy was entirely one-sided. The guy was just, going on and on and on about his life and about his brothers and how he would have, if he was there, he would have been there and stood up long enough. And it was a very much a conversation that Gawain or I or you or most other people would not be willing to stay there for. Like, if that was me, I would be trying to get as far away from the guy as possible, because stop talking to me. Like, what the fuck, man?
That's fair, yeah. But
furthermore. No,
okay.
Not furthermore. Thusly. When he gets to that cabin in the woods, I'll say this. He does inquire about if there's anyone still in the cabin, but he doesn't ask very loudly.
Yeah.
But he doesn't need to, because the place is fucking run down, all of the food has turned to ash, and there are weeds growing up through the floorboards. This place has been abandoned for years.
Yes.
So he doesn't need to act chivalrous in that instance. He just act like a normal dude.
Yes. I mean, I think the thing is, I would agree with you in the real world sense of like this stuff, like he's doing things that like some person going through these things would kind of do. But the idea of this movie is that you have to be better than that.
Yes, the message of the movie is that being normal is not good enough.
Yeah, like you should try to actively be good.
You are not good enough.
True.
You, specifically you, are not good enough.
gonna really hurt
if you are anything less than the pinnacle of chivalry.
That's going to hurt my feelings when I'm editing.
Chris, Chris, are not good enough.
True.
Be better.
This is cold. But yeah, I think the idea, well, especially since his idea of being this knight and being honorable, like being better and a good person, like it does come with the territory, right? And so him not thinking about
it makes sense for this movie because the whole point is that he's trying to be a knight.
Yeah, he's trying to be this person that's greater.
The point is that he's not an asshole. Like, we're sort of making it.
Yeah, he's not like an ass. He's just kind of like
he's just like a normal guy.
I do think he doesn't think about things a little bit, but you know, like I don't know if I would give your argument full credence of cutting off a dude's head when he literally is told multiple times,
yes,
it's just a game.
Yes.
So yeah, the cabin in the woods. He ends up seeing this ghost girl. She's like, I need my head, and he's like, what? And then she's like, can you please go get my head? And he's like, what will you give me for it? And it's like, dude, come on. Have you not just gone over like asking for things in return? Like, you should just try to help this person.
It's almost like it's a theme of the movie.
Yeah, exactly. And then this is one of the shots I really like is that when he gets pulled into the water and it looks like he's like going upward, like upside down imagery is in this movie, like in the painting that in the castle.
Oh yeah,
the woman has
the painting.
Yeah, that happens there, and I just like the idea of this like.
I do remember one long shot of just like
when they pan,
the camera twists and suddenly everything's upside down.
Yeah,
I don't remember where that was in the film, but
we'll get to it. It's right before the Giants.
Okay.
Around. It was after the Giants. It's after the Giants. I think immediately after. But so he ends up getting the skull, her head, and then puts it on her body that was in the bed that he was in.
And he didn't notice.
Yeah. Then the head talks to him. I forgot what she said, but after he does this, he ends up getting the axe back.
The axe somehow appears in the room.
Yes, and he's like, okay, well, I guess I gotta take it. So he takes the axe, and what's he do?
He carries the axe.
Yeah. He sees a fox outside. He sees the fox after he comes out of the river, out of the spring.
Oh, okay.
Forgot to mention that, but
there's a fox.
Yeah.
An animal companion.
But the axe returns, and then there's an intermission. It says intermission on the screen.
Or no, I think it said interlude actually.
Oh, interlude. My bad. Interlude. Then we see him walking through these hills, and you see some giant bones in the background, which is like the ribs of a giant.
I missed that, but all right.
Yeah. You see the fox again, and I like that he starts to accept the fox to be with him, because I'm like, okay, he's starting to be a little bit more open to companionship and being with someone, which he seemed apprehensive before, so he's trying to grow a little bit. Then he fell down a bunch of rocks and just slipped and was just like and then he tumbled. Then he ate some mushrooms.
Beast.
And then he's I thought about it, I'm like, damn, people just be eating shit back in the day.
Oh yeah, and they were magic mushrooms. He had that like hallucination where his hand went.
Yeah, they were just shrooms.
They were just shrooms.
And so I'm just like, damn, that would explain a lot of things back in the day where they thought they saw crazy shit. It's like, oh, okay, yeah. And so then I'm assuming while he's still on shrooms, he ends up
meeting the giants?
Yeah, because I think, he ends up seeing the giants, right?
Okay, I thought that was well after he did the shrooms.
It was after, but it was like
it was like the next day, and it like wasn't raining or wet. I thought it was like at least a few days after, if not weeks.
I mean, time passes differently when you're on shrooms, I assume.
Time passes differently when you're in a film.
When you're in a film.
With a very loose concept of linear time.
Yes, this is very true. Because I thought his journey was taking forever, because I thought Christmas was like in a couple days, and he arrives, it's like, oh yeah, it's the 21st.
We got like 3 days, you're good, man.
Yeah, I'm like, how long before did you leave? But anyway, the Giants parts,
Very cool. I like the giants.
They were cool.
I don't know what they mean.
That's what I was going to ask you, because I was like, he asks for help, or he asks for things again. He's like, could you take me on your shoulders? And then the giant's about to grab him. And then the fox barks at the
and Gowan's like,
growls.
oh fuck, oh no.
Yeah, and then the fox starts howling, and then all the giants start howling and start staring off, and it's just like, okay. And then I can't tell, did they move him or not? Like, because they're on a different space a little bit.
They didn't show the giants grab Gowan and bringing him places.
Yeah, but he was in a different spot, and then he sees them walk into the ocean and just walk away.
Yes, the giants marched across the oceans, and I don't remember the rest of the speech. I was going to make a reference to Dark Souls 2.
I thought you were going to make a Attack on Titan reference.
Oh, no.
But also that works. Dark Souls 2, yeah.
If I lose it all, lose it all.
Slip and fall, I will never run away.
Rumbling, rumbling, rumbling.
Rumbling. Okay.
I don't remember the rest of the speech from Dark Souls 2. It would have been a really cool reference if I actually, like...
That would have been so sick.
That would have been freaking epic.
That would have been, from the best FromSoft game. So, after the Giants, he gets into a castle.
We're going to get canceled, Chris.
Yeah, we're going to get canceled. So, he ends up going into a castle, and then this hunter, he's just like, welcome. And then the Gawain just passes out. And then he wakes up in a bed, all green everywhere. That's interesting. Green.
Oh, also, a visual symbolism. There was also a lot of there were a lot of shots where Gowan is completely enveloped in like green lighting and yellow lighting and other colored lighting. I don't know what it means, but I noticed it.
Yeah, I'll get to the yellow lighting a little bit later. But
ooh, I'm not the only one who noticed it.
Yeah. But yeah, there's green bed, green sheets, green everything. Then he starts remembering his mother, like his mother's touch or something, and then he wakes up with the stranger like.
Staring at him.
Well, he's like patting him down with like a cloth, because the Gawain's sweating a lot, and then he kind of freaks out. He's like, "What are you doing? Why am I naked?" Like, it's like, "Oh, you just slept the night. Like you kind of passed out and you were fucking terrible." It's because of the mushrooms. But then we see his wife, which is Essel, is actress. I think it's the same woman.
The hunter's wife is the same actor as Essel.
Yes. And then you see this old lady
blindfolded
that they don't address for a while. There's like, she's just there, which I thought was fun. They talk about how Gawain's like super famous. It's like, oh yeah, we heard your story.
We're dining with a celebrity. Yeah. Isn't this wonderful?
We get panning shots of people hunting a fox, as one of the paintings in the hunter's room.
Yes.
That we'll come back to later. But Gawain's kind of snooping around because the hunter's like, "Oh, I want you to." What does he say? He says, "I want you to give me something that's given to you in this household." He says that.
Or you may rest here, but keep in mind that you must return to me everything that's given to you, or something like that.
Yeah, whatever's given to you, just give to me.
Yeah, and this is I think this is the biggest departure where the movie takes from the original story, because in the original story, the hunter's wife just goes to Sir Gawain and it tries to seduce him, but Sir Gawain's like, "No, I cannot." And then the lady's like, "All right, but at least let me give you a kiss." And so she kisses him, and then every day when the hunter comes back, Sir Gawain smooches the hunter. He's like, "Oh wow, you have given me quite the gift, Sir Gawain. How wonderful, how jovial, haha." And then that just happens for 3 days, and he leaves. Or
yeah.
it's a.
Also, in the book, it's more explicitly stated that guy is the Green Knight.
Oh,
I'm pretty sure in the book. in this it is not as clear. That I don't know if it is if in this movie, to be honest. Also, I skipped a little bit, to be completely honest. But Gawain's looking at books. The lady's very versed in books and well read. She's very intelligent. And then she talks about like she's kind of like being like you said being being tempting.
Yeah, she gives him a green book, heart shaped.
Yeah, was it heart shaped?
It was heart shaped. Well, it was like half a heart shape, but then when you opened it, it was a heart shape.
Oh, I didn't notice that part. Oh, okay, so about love. So like it's testing his commitment stuff, because which I really like because the wife is testing. Which I'm gonna skip slightly. She's testing his commitment with both his relationship with Essel and his commitment to the journey and quest of facing the Green Knight, because she has his green sash that was taken from him, even though she's like, oh yeah, I made this myself, and then she's like, oh, it'll make sure that you're never hurt, and then she asks like if he wants it, and then it's a double entendre for both sexual gratification and for him wanting a fail-safe for going to the Green Knight, and so I really like that she is both of those things to him, and that she keeps like trying to bring him in, and he's trying his best, but he still kind of like falls into it, even though he wants to try to be this honorable person in both relationships and his own quests, his own statements and stuff.
So that's why she's in the movie.
Yes. I don't know why the old lady, where she touches his head and then she touches her heart and leaves. I didn't understand that part. That one goes over my head quite a bit.
Sir Gawain, off with his head, throws it over mine.
Well, that's what I
don't understand it.
Because I thought it was something about about head imagery, right? And then maybe about the heart, because
are you a head person or a heart person?
Well, because I'm not sure if that's supposed to be a looser interpretation, right? Because the head contains the brain, right? Compared to how your heart is supposed to acts, how the idea that both of those are diametrically opposed in lots of area of people's lives. So I don't know if the idea of having this separation of your head and how you're feeling and your emotions.
Oh, so
not just with that scene, but just in general.
Hold on. We're getting into something here.
Yeah.
So think about it, right? When you're beheaded, the mind is separated from the heart. Mm-hmm. And with all of the beheading imagery on Gawain, it's saying that his mind is separated from his heart.
Yeah. So I guess so. The end of the movie is supposed to be a culmination of him being at peace with himself, which actually I think that there's a scene that gives credence to that even more. God, the more I talk about it, I think the more I like this movie, because there's more things that you find about it, because that was a really good point, and I really like that.
I had the smart I got the smart brain symbolism.
Your head's still attached to your body.
This is a very heady movie.
Heady. Head ass. Oh, the lady, the seductress. I don't like that, but just kind of fitting.
The hunter's wife.
The hunter's wife. She ends up taking a photograph of him. Photos. That's cool. And also, she asks about the bell that he has, and she's like, "Oh, is this a sign of honor or love?" And he's just like, "No." And then she's like, "Okay," and she takes it. More taking imagery. And he's she's showing that he's not really committed to these things that he should be and he wants to be, right? His image is upside down, like the underwater imagery, and the flipping of the scene at the end of the giant scene.
Just how the photograph works.
Yeah, I just the idea of him kind of descending a little bit, and he's falling into these things that aren't that great. Let's see. They have a whole conversation, which I thought this was the most forward thing. A whole conversation about the color green.
Oh yeah,
and she's like,
the color green is this, and
it's the idea of this growth and nature, but it's also of rot and
mold. Spinach.
envy. It talks about just the idea of this image. Like it also, like, I think it's nice because it shows Gawain's mindset, where he's still kind of like, when he takes a look at things, he kind of has like a negative view of it, rather than trying to like help him be this positive person and this good person, which he's still kind of stuck in, which he's the whole, trying to get out of that. And this lady's like, oh, like, here's some things that are good, and then he's just like, nah.
Yeah, he counters her green speech with one of his own. It was like in darkest day, in blackest night, no evil shall escape my sight.
With all who worship evil's might, beware my power, Green Lantern's light.
And then he fires a green beam at her and kills her.
That does happen. That is the movie, The Green Knight.
Man, Ryan Reynolds has a very versatile like action career.
Going back to the paintings, we see how the previous painting was a fox being chased by people. This time we have a man being chased by people.
I'll take your word for it.
There is a scene of that, and I'm not entirely sure. I'm just assuming that that's just like how treating people and stuff, and treating like the things around you, and how treating animals like that. You can. It's very easy to turn around and treat people like that, and people do. I assume that that's kind of like the idea of it. Or not, just correct me if I'm wrong. It talked about we talked about it a little bit already, but he comes, and it's very much there.
Oh yeah. So when I was watching it, I didn't know that there was anything sexual happening.
Yeah, she was jerking him off. I
figured it out after.
Yeah.
What is it? Oh shit! I was not expecting there to be on-screen comment at this moment. I wasn't aware. I thought they were just talking.
Dude, you should have seen like me like in the theaters with Beat, and we're just like, what the fuck?
But okay, symbolism, right? His cum is on the enchanted sash.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means.
Well, I think that,
but it seems important.
Yeah. Well, I think that he succumbed to like he succumbed to like the temptations of both this sexual gratification and this item that is supposed to help him like stave off the repercussions of going to this night, which he's just like supposed to protect him and stuff. So I think that like those like that supposed to be together is like they are one and the same, of just him falling into those temptations and just giving into, oh yeah, this is easier for me in this moment, rather than taking the harder road, or the high road, whatever it's called,
the yellow brick road.
Yeah, taking the yellow brick road. Then Gawain starts to leave, and he says that he's no knight.
No, she says that he's no knight.
Oh, right, yeah. Where she says that he's no knight. Because, like
she jerks him off, gives him the sash, and it calls him a normal person.
Yeah, which, because, like I said, he succumbs to those things instead of being like, oh, I'm going to be committed in my relationships, and I'm going to see this journey through, even if the repercussions are bad for me. Which, he doesn't want to do that. He doesn't want to do either of those things. So then as he leaves, you see a bear killed by the hunter. The hunter... Oh,
there's a bear.
I think so, right? It's not a bear?
I thought it was just like a big fantasy creature.
Maybe. Then the hunter... This is where I was a little confused, because the hunter kisses Gawain.
Yes, which happens in the original story. They do smooch 3 times.
Yes, but... Okay, so he kisses him and gets kissed, but like I thought he was supposed to get something that Gawain was given. Gawain gave a kiss. He wasn't given a kiss. And so
and then in this, the hunter gives him a kiss as well.
Yes. That was the only part where I was kind of confused. Unless he's like, I'm giving you this kiss, so you give me this kiss, as though we're kissing now. Which It's possible. I don't know.
Maybe they just wanted an on-screen kiss. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I guess it's the idea that he was given something like sensual, which was being jerked off, and so he was supposed to give this man something sensual, so he gives him a kiss instead, or he takes the kiss away. Maybe. I'm not sure. I'm not entirely sure on the one for those stuff. So then they head up to the Green Chapel, and then it's all yellow. It's a yellow color.
Yes.
And I'm not entirely sure, because I don't remember them talking about yellow before a little bit.
You see, the last time we've seen Gawain engrossed in yellow is when he was setting off on his journey and he had the yellow cape.
Oh, I didn't know that. So
I don't know how that connects.
I'm assuming just like the beginning and end of his journey.
Maybe. It's possible.
Gold is a royal color.
Sure.
Right? So, him like finally coming to like this knighthood to him, maybe. Then the fox starts talking and says, "You will suffer if you keep going."
What the fuck is that? Get out of here!
I like how freaked out he was. He's just like he saw giants and a ghost, and he's like, "Talking fox? Oh, that's crazy!" Like, what the heck?
That dog is sick. Get it out of here!
But the fox says, "Oh, you're nothing. You're just gonna suffer." Like, which I think is like, for how I interpret it, is the last roadblock of like him trying to escape his journey and his own promise. And so like this fox is just kind of like a manifestation of that. And then he's just like, I have the sash. And it's like, well, you don't really need the sash, because if you're gonna go, like, go all in. Don't like pretend that you're going. Like you can leave right now if you want. That's fair. But don't go and be like, I'm immortal. I don't have to die. Like, which is like, he's still pretending to himself and like lying to himself like, oh yeah, I'm doing this correctly, which he doesn't for a little bit. We're almost done. And then he gets there, and through the entire scene for a while, you just hear his heartbeat, which,
oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, I think leads into what you were saying before about how his heart and mind are separated.
Oh, dude,
so,
connections.
Yeah, and so like the heartbeat is like there for a long time, and it gets settled in a little bit, but then he ends up waiting for the Green Knight to wake up. The Green Knight does wake up. He's like, "Oh, you came," and then he's like, "All right, it's time to cut off your head," and then Gawain's like, as he's about to get his head chopped off, he's like, "Is this it?" And the Green Knight's like, "Well, yeah. I told you this was it. Like, why are you surprised?" Like, and then he just keeps stopping him. He's like, "No, wait." And then,
which again, not an asshole move. He's about to die.
Which is fair. I get it. But, when he was just like, "This is going to happen to you," and he did it, he's like, "I didn't flinch when you fucking cut off my head." And he's like,
"Yeah, but you're immortal, though."
Well, you didn't know that. You literally said before, he's like, "Oh, if I just kill him, he's not going to come back." like he obviously did not know he was immortal. And so he ends up freaking out and fucking just dips. He's just like, "I can't do this. Goodbye." And then it shows entire
his entire life for the next 30 years.
Yes,
being crowned king of the Arthurian kingdom.
Yeah, based on a falsehood, because he did leave, and then him having a kid with Essel, and then taking away the kid because she's not of a royal bloodline.
Yeah,
and then his son dying
in war.
Ooh. And then his people hating him, and then try to kill him. And during all this stuff, his sash is still on, and then he takes off his sash.
Hold on. Important bit. His kingdom gets invaded, and the enemy is at the gates. He's barricaded into his throne room, and that is when he reaches into his thing.
I love the scene of him pulling out and making it sound like intestine-y.
Yeah, it was very moist.
Yeah,
it came out of him.
I really like that. And then it comes out. His head
just falls off.
Yeah. And then it cuts back to him with the Green Knight, and then him.
One more thing.
Okay.
You see, we're coming full circle. Just like the camera pans around after his head falls off in the throne room, the camera turns away, and by the time it turns back, we are back in the Green Chapel with young Gowan again kneeling down, waiting for the killing blow. Just like in the forest when he was starving to death or whatever.
Yeah, like facing death in the
It's the same shot. It came back later.
Yeah, both of the times where he was like gonna die, like, and so he said, "Wait." His heart completely calm. Him like actually just saying, "Okay." He takes out the sash. He's like, "Now I'm ready." And then the Green Knight bends down to him and says, like, "Now off with your head." And then that's the end of the movie.
What does "now off with your head" mean, Chris?
Well, you could take it as two ways, right? Where it's like, now I'm off with your head, I'm going to cut off your head. Or now off, like, go off with your head.
Oh, I get it.
Yeah. Which I really like, because I don't think I noticed it the first time, but he's like, yeah, like, now that you have...
used a comma.
Yeah, he used another comma. But yeah, like, now that he has come to fully accept, like, the stuff that he did and, like, you know, his actions and who he is, and kind of, like, became a full good person, like, you know, accepting the things that he's done, the Knight's like, all right, like, now, like you can now go off with your head. Like, that's how I interpret it. I mean, like, he may have just, you know, killed him, and that's also accepting your actions too, but I think of it more like the Green Knight kind of knew what was going on. Which I either way, it's, I think, pretty good. So yeah,
it does the Inception thing where it can go two ways.
Yeah.
So you see, I'm fine with that. I just didn't get it.
No, yeah, I mean that's fair. So yeah, that's the Green Knight. I really like this movie. This movie is very good in my opinion. I think the symbolism stuff is very, very good. I think that it is well acted and crafted. It looks great. There's a ton of cool shots, just tons of them. And yeah, I just think it's just very good. Like, I think it can be, you know, to some people it can be very slow paced or even boring at times. But like, I rewatched this late at night thinking like, oh yeah, I could just go, like, just not pay attention that much. But I was like fully invested again, and I was tired, and I was like, after this, I just was like, okay, now I can go to sleep. Like, I didn't even try to fall asleep once during it, even though it's like slow. Your thoughts?
I thought it was pretty cool. And it took us like an hour and a half of talking about it to actually understand what the fuck was going on, but it's pretty cool.
Yeah, this is true. Any other thoughts or questions or things you want to bring up?
I mean, we could go into the grand philosophical debate with like really like out there art pieces where it's like, if when watching the film, if the understanding of the film comes from discussions outside of the film, does that mean that it's still a good film or not? Or if the discussion is actually good?
I think that if a film can create such discussion, I think that is a plus for me. Because having a movie where you can actually further, you know, your ideas or mindsets or views of things through a piece of medium with other people, I think is a strong piece of an art like statement, right? Like, if everyone were just saying, well, like, oh yeah, that's that thing that happened, and then you just kind of move on, I feel like that doesn't stay in like the consciousness of people, right? And I feel like that's... Is
Five Nights at Freddy's good, or is the Game Theory YouTube channel good?
Well, people are excited for the Five Nights at Freddy movie, so...
Oh yeah, there's a movie coming out.
Yeah.
There's also
we'll see,
there's a new Indiana Jones coming out.
Yeah.
I haven't seen the trailer or anything. I just saw that there was a poster for it at the movie theater that I went to for the film we watched last week.
So there's that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I personally like discussions after movies.
I also like discussions after movies, but does the discussion... Okay, well, let me rephrase it. If the movie requires a discussion to make sense, then I don't think the movie makes a whole lot of sense.
I think that's valid, but making sense is up to is very person based.
Yeah, it's very subjective and on a case by case basis.
Yeah, because for me,
this is the philosophy of interpretation of art.
Yeah, because for me, I watched the movie and I think I understood more than you did at the first viewing when I first watched this.
You probably did, yes.
But discussing it makes it further, which to me I'm like, well now I can enjoy this movie more, right? Which I think is good. Because, compared to some of the other movies where we talk about and we dislike them more when we discuss them, I think that this is a better.
Oh, yes. This was better than Super Mario Brothers, the new one.
Shh, you can't say that.
What? Why not?
I don't know. People are getting mad. Even though we have a whole episode of just bashing it.
But The Green Knight, was it good? You decide. You should probably watch it. It's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. I think it's worth a watch, even if you dislike it.
Yes, I say it's worth a watch. Mm-hmm. Definitely.
So you'll see what you come out of this with.
Yeah, are you a normal person?
Or are you a Green Knight?
Or are you the pinnacle of human morality? Are you a head person or a heart person? Do you prefer the mountains or the seas?
Shut the fuck up. That's a reference to fucking...
Decision to Leave.
Yeah, thank you. How about we leave this podcast? I'm Chris. This is like and subscribe.
Welcome to the intro again. Goodbye. We don't podcast. Fuck you. Get out of here.
Thanks for watching.